I'm just going to read a little passage from someone who's been incredibly important in my journey, and that's Father Richard Rohr, an amazing Franciscan spiritual teacher. This is a little passage called the Navajo Rug. In the Navajo rug there is always an imperfection woven into the corner, and interestingly enough, it's where the spirit moves in and out of the rug. The pattern is perfect, and then there's one part of it that clearly looks like a mistake. The Semitic mind, the Eastern mind, which, by the way, Jesus would have been much closer to, understands perfection in precisely that way. Perfection is not the elimination of imperfection. That's our Western either-or, need to control thinking. Perfection, rather, is the ability to incorporate imperfection. There's no other way to live. You either incorporate imperfection or you fall into denial. That's how the Spirit moves in or out of our lives. I guess this is the second part of the little podcast I did on falling down for Linda, because it's such a huge story, it's such a huge part of my life. And I just wanted to share those words of Richard Rohr's because they're so profoundly true, at least they are in my experience. And now my phone's going. Hello? Hello? Okay, I'll come and find you in a minute. Bye. Bye. How about that for a very real podcast? That was my Sally on the phone for me. I've got to go and meet her now. So, I'm going to have to go. But I'm going to keep this as it is, because I think, one of the things that I've taught myself, and I still haven't learned the lesson actually, so I'm teaching myself, is to cope with the mess, the muddle, the imperfections. I used to be someone who, whatever I did, if I couldn't do it perfectly, I'd destroy it and I'd throw it away and start again. And I still do that sometimes, I have to say, whether I'm writing something or trying to draw a picture of something. If it's not perfect, I get frustrated and I throw it away. And I've been doing that even with these podcasts, but I'm going to start leaving them so that they become slightly more raw. Well, they're probably raw anyway, because it's me doing them. So this in a sense is one about the imperfection of an authentic life. And I think it is just so important, so important to let go of our own, the impositions that we put upon ourselves by our own self-made demands. We kind of have this projected idea of what we want to be like, and I don't know why we do it. I guess we learn it. We learn it from religion, we learn it from growing up, we learn it from school teachers, we learn it from our various cultures. It's as if we're running away all the time from who we are. And we've got to stop. And I've got to stop. Now, 4 years ago, I did something that was perhaps very reckless, but was necessary. And that was to put into process something that in the end lost me my job and my home and a heck of a lot more actually. And it was to go to see someone and to tell my story to someone who had a certain amount of power and control over my life. And I've said before, I'm a bit of a broken, messy person. I trip up a lot, I fall over, I make mistakes. and I've made some, some bigger and some smaller mistakes. And though many people would see what I'm talking about as quite an understandable error, I decided to go and tell my story to somebody a few years ago, and the end result of that was that I had to resign from my job. And then after a few years, I had an opportunity to come back to my job, which was, as you probably know, an Anglican priest. I was still an Anglican priest, but not working as one. And I had what was called permission to officiate, which is the permission from the diocese where I live to act as a priest in its name, to carry out services and what have you as an Anglican priest. It wouldn't have been paid, but it was like the first step to getting my job back. But after a couple of months, I just knew that I couldn't accept the PTO, the permission to officiate, because I'd changed so much and I'd become much more closer to myself, I think, than I had been all those years as an Anglican priest. I still love the Church of England. I still want to be there for it. I want to serve it in a different way, maybe from the outside, from the edge, as a magician, soulful magician, or even maybe as someone who could perhaps be called in to do things with various parishes. I mean, I do that. I often go and visit parishes or even deaneries, sometimes even dioceses, to do things, retreats, what have you, or especially entertaining soulful magic. So I love the Church of England, but I couldn't receive the PTO and keep it, because it would have meant that I would have had to stop this quest for authenticity, because I could not be myself within it. I've been doing things for people for same-sex couples, for example, blessing their relationships after civil partnerships. I wouldn't be allowed to do that publicly if I was an Anglican priest. I've got an amazing, beautiful connection to the pagan world, the neo-pagan world, and I've got many friends who are Wiccans, who are heathens, who are Druids, and I'm a member of a Druid order myself. I would find it ever so difficult to maintain that and to speak the language that I do without covering it up, were I to be an official Anglican priest. So, it's not that I hate the Church of England at all, I love it, but in order to be fairer to it and to be fairer to me and to be authentic, I have to remain at the edge and, to be quite frank, outside the establishment. Oh, there's my other phone now. Oh, is this synchronicity? I don't know. I'm not going to answer that one, because I've got to go and meet Sally, which is lovely. She's lovely. And I'm going to hang up now because the clock is ticking, and again, YouTube only allowed 10 minutes, and this is now 8.5 minutes. I think I've said enough, and I've waffled on, and I've probably said things that aren't particularly well phrased. Well, that's me, And why I still believe in Jesus in all this mess is because Jesus came into the mess, the muddle, the shit of this world, and loved it from the inside as a sort of metaphorical face of God to us. So, that's why I hang in there with the Jesus story, even though I've moved outside the church official. So I'd better get that bit in. So, bless you all, and thank you. I know that 1 minute I'm looking at the screen, next minute I'm looking into the camera, so it probably looks like I'm ignoring you. Sorry if I am. I'm not used to this yet. Anyway, goodbye, blessings, and everything else. Thank you.